Max Verstappen's worst nightmare has officially triggered a hidden, controversial rule that could completely break Formula One. Right now, Red Bull is facing the biggest technical crisis in its history. Their multi-billion-dollar partnership with Ford to build their own 2026 engines has completely backfired. As Formula One heads to Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix, Red Bull finds themselves languishing in fourth place in the Constructors Championship, utterly humbled by the dominant Mercedes of Kimi and Antonelli, and constantly outpaced by McLaren and Ferrari. But behind closed doors, a massive political war is erupting in the paddock. The FI has just confirmed the exact mechanics of a highly secretive rule that could give Red Bull a multi-million-dollar lifeline to fix their broken engine. Rivals are already calling it an unfair bailout, while Red Bull views it as their only hope of keeping Max Verstappen from walking out the door. This is the inside story of the FIA's controversial ADUO system, why the Canadian Grand Prix is the absolute breaking point, and the insane loophole Red Bull is about to exploit to save their season. To understand why this is causing total chaos in the paddock, we have to look at how bad things truly are inside Milton Keynes. Since the new 2026 engine regulations kicked in, everything has changed. The sport shifted to a radical 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and hybrid electric power. The complex MGUH was completely removed, and the kinetic MGUK was turned up to a massive 350 kilowatts. For a legacy engine manufacturer like Mercedes or Ferrari, this was a massive challenge. But for Red Bull powertrains, who are building an F1 engine from scratch for the first time in history alongside Ford, it has been a total catastrophe. Rumors from the factory suggest the Red Bull Ford power unit is suffering from horrific energy deployment issues. On long straights, the car literally runs out of battery juice, leaving Max Verstappen a sitting duck. Verstappen has been visually furious, escaping to external races like the Nürburgring just to find reliable machinery, only for mechanical heartbreaks to follow him there too. He is trapped in a car that cannot fight for wins, and Ford executives have openly admitted that while they love Max, the massive exodus of top staff like Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley has left the engine department in deep trouble. Under normal Formula One regulations, once an engine is built and approved, it is frozen. You cannot change it. You cannot upgrade it for performance. If you build a slow engine, you are supposed to stay slow. But the FIA has secretly built an emergency escape hatch into the rulebook, and its fuse is about to be lit in Canada. This brings us to the most controversial acronym in modern motorsport, ADUO. It stands for Additional Development and Upgrade Opportunities. When the FIA drafted the 2026 engine rules, major manufacturers were terrified of getting the regulations completely wrong and being embarrassed on global television for 5 straight years. So, the FIA created this mechanism as a cost cap relief system. Essentially, if a manufacturer's engine performance falls dangerously behind the grid leader, the FIA will step in and give that specific team special permission to break the engine freeze, develop new parts, and upgrade their power unit. But here is where the timing becomes absolutely critical. The FIA originally planned to monitor engine data across 3 specific periods in 2026 to see who was failing. Because of the race cancellations earlier this year in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia due to regional unrest, the FIA had to completely restructure the system. Just days ago, the governing body officially locked in the new dates. The first ever ADUO monitoring period now officially covers the Australian, Chinese, Japanese, Miami, and Canadian Grand Prix. This means that the upcoming race in Montreal is the final, definitive data collection point. The FIA will analyze every single bit of telemetry from the Red Bull Ford engines, calculating what they call an ICE performance index. This includes engine torque, RPM, MGUK power, and how much lap time a team is losing, purely because of their straight-line engine deficit. The results will be officially communicated exactly 2 weeks after the Canadian Grand Prix. And the paddock rumors are suggesting that Red Bull is actively preparing to trigger this clause. According to technical insiders, the Red Bull Ford power unit is lagging significantly behind the benchmark Mercedes engine. The official ADUO rules state that if a manufacturer's internal combustion engine is determined to be at least 2% but less than 4% down on the leading engine, They are automatically granted an extra homologation upgrade for the current season, plus another additional upgrade for the following year. But it gets even crazier. If the deficit is worse than 4%, or in extreme cases, more than 10%, the FIA is allowing struggling manufacturers to bring forward up to $8 million of future cost cap allowance to instantly pour into emergency engine development. Think about how insane this is. While teams like Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari did a perfect job interpreting the 2026 regulations and built highly efficient, powerful units within the strict financial rules, Red Bull could literally be rewarded for failing. They could get millions of dollars in extra cost cap space and free development tokens to fix their mistakes, completely bypassing the engine freeze that everyone else has to respect. Rival team principals are already furious. The Paddock is whispering that this looks less like a fair sporting regulation and more like an illegal advantage designed specifically to rescue Red Bull from their own arrogance. Ferrari and McLaren are arguing that if a team chose to build their own engine factory from scratch, instead of buying a reliable customer unit, they should suffer the competitive consequences of that risk. Giving Red Bull an extra $8 million and a free pass to upgrade their engine completely ruins the integrity of the budget cap. But for Red Bull, this is a matter of pure survival. They know that Max Verstappen's patience is completely gone. If they cannot show him a clear, legal path to a fast, reliable engine by the summer break, his management team will trigger his exit clauses and move him straight into a Mercedes or an Aston Martin seat for next year. Red Bull needs the FIA's help, and they need it now. When the cars hit the track in Canada, keep a very close eye on the speed traps and Red Bull's energy deployment. If they look significantly slower than Mercedes on the long straights of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, do not assume they are panic-stricken. In reality, they might be leaning directly into the data threshold, ensuring they lock in that official 2 to 4% deficit. They are staring down the barrel of a multi-million-dollar development lifeline that could completely save their future, even if it sets the entire sport on fire with controversy. Formula One is about to enter a massive political war, and the first shots will be fired right after the checkered flag drops in Canada.